Now to bring in the voice of the NBA and the voice of the Knicks, our pal Mike Breen, who joins us on the video call center from San Francisco. And just so you know, Mike, you're not off to the greatest start with us because you have a hat on, and we have a no-hat policy here on the program.
Dress code violation already.
I miss you guys so much.
Yeah.
I'm sure you do. You know what? If you want to keep the hat on, keep the hat on. So the draft lottery goes last night. Knicks get third overall, and then you got to call a basketball game. How'd that all go for you?
Well, we were doing our rehearsal for the Open when the whole thing is going down. And Dave Freed, who's the statistician when I do Knick games on MSG, also is the statistician for me for the ESPN games. And he's giving me the hand signals, and he says it's down to 4. And then he holds up the 3 fingers, say that they got the 3rd pick. You know, and there's that initial disappointment. You love to get that first pick. Zion Williamson appears like he's going to be a special player, special talent. But it's all part of the crapshoot. It's a gamble every time, and now you got to go forward and pick the right player, number 3.
Well, Mike, I know this is one of those lotteries because of what happened. How many of those teams that were in the top 5 fell out? The Knicks obviously at least surviving in the top 3. But it felt like this lottery resonated around the country, all the basketball fans. You're all the way over in the West Coast, but by now, how many people came up to you, especially talking to you about what happened to the Knicks falling to 3?
So many, Alan. You're right on it. It's not all anybody wanted to talk about before the game. And I must have had 25 text messages within after the pick came. And, you know, again, everybody's disappointed. And I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that this kid, Zion Williamson, not only is he a talent, but he's got this charisma to him. There's an electricity when he plays. So that all played a part of it. But as we know, you know, every year there's a draft. You just don't know who's going to be a star. And it's up to your scouting team, and it's up to your front office to do their research, do their due diligence, and find that diamond in the rough and find that guy who's got a chance to be a star.
All right, well, a lot of people think this is a 3-player draft, so at least being 3 is a pretty good place to be. And the thinking is it might be R.J. Barrett. We know that before the draft, before the season, he was considered one of the best players in the country. Do you think because he played with Zion Williamson and Zion had one of those seasons that, you know, you'd never seen before, that we look at Barrett maybe a little differently? That maybe we would have seen him as a better player or marveled more at him if he wasn't playing next to a guy like Zion?
Well, I think there's no question about it. I mean, Zion Williamson casts such a big shadow that he's going to overshadow most of his other teammates. I mean, just look at the game I did last night with Golden State playing Portland. Steph Curry's greatness overshadows the unbelievable talents at both ends of Klay Thompson. Damian Lillard, a spectacular player, often overshadows what C.J. McCollum can do. I mean, that happens on every level of basketball. So much of it is obviously talent. That's number 1. Number 2, the character of the player often comes into play. Number 3, do they have that work ethic? Do they have that desire to be great? Do they have the commitment to reach their potential? So all these things go into play, and that's what the front office is going to be doing now, and the scouting is going to be doing over the next several weeks to find out which guy fits all those different categories that you want in terms of drafting a player that you hope eventually can be a great player.
You know, Mike, obviously all of the excitement and the attention about last night, that's going to fade a little bit. You got the NBA draft, and then July 1, you got free agency. When you look at how all of this shakes down, you know, we've been talking on the show about how that really is going to be the determining factor to this offseason, correct?
No question. And, you know, there's been so much speculation, Billy, about who's going to go where. I honestly believe, number 1, that most of the players, they still don't know. Do they have thoughts? Do they have preferences right now? Absolutely. But I still don't know that they know definitively where they're going. Yet we spend a colossal amount of time talking about, oh, he's going here, he's going there. People don't know definitively where anybody's going, and it drives me a little crazy. I know that's part of being a fan. I know that's the fun part of just having these debates. But I really believe that most of these players don't know where they're going right now. But it is going to be, anxious moments, exciting moments. I mean, you guys saw the reaction from the Knicks fans prior to the draft last night and after the draft. The emotion, the tie, the bond they have with this team. It's really kind of cool to watch. Now, obviously, last night was a little on the disappointing side because you didn't get that number one pick. But it just goes to show you that the fan base, the hunger, the passion that they have is just incredible. And that's, I think, why we all wish that the Knicks can turn this thing around and get in the right direction, because if there's any fan base in any sport that deserves it, it's the Knicks fans.
Yeah, you know what, Mike, you're right. I saw it last night, front and center, over at the Knicks draft lottery watch party that they had. Thousands of fans showed up, and it was as if they were watching a playoff game, the way they were reacting as the picks went down. And so, yeah, there was disappointment, but after that it turned and they all looked at me to say, well, what does this mean? And, you know, again, it wasn't a win, but it certainly wasn't a loss either at number 3. You mentioned that passion. We certainly know David Fizdale is a guy that represents a lot of that, what a lot of Knicks fans feel. He wears it on his sleeve. I've talked to him about this, and I want to see what you think as well from what people think of him outside the Knicks organization around the league. How much impact do you think his presence will have when it comes to attracting free agents?
Well, I think we'll have a lot, and that's one of the reasons why he was such an appealing candidate when Steve Mills and Scott Perry were looking at different candidates. He just has, we've seen it all. He has this unbelievable ability to connect with people in all walks of life, in all ages. And all you have to do is go down the Knicks roster this year. Now, there's always exceptions, but you go down the Knicks roster and the majority of the guys will tell you they'd run through a wall for him. And it's because of the way that he deals with them as men, the way he deals with them honestly, the way he cares about them on the court, off the court. And to me, that's the biggest part of it. Every coach is going to have 1 or 2 players on the team that's not a fan, whether it's because of playing time, whether it's because of style. But this Knicks team, even with all the losses, even with what a difficult year it was, they really thought the world of him and would run through a wall for him.
For more great videos from the MSG 150, check out right there. And remember, our show is on Monday through Thursday, 8 to 10:30 p.m. on MSG Network and MSG Go.